In this lesson we'll use the quick rig in the step-by-step version. So what we'll do is come over to this step-by-step version, click on plus, okay, and we've got a brand new quick rig character. And then the first thing we need to do is add the geometry that we want to rig. So we'll just select everything here, I'll just marquee it all, and then just click on this little plus, and that will add the objects that you want to work with. Okay, so then we go to the guide section. So this is the guide section, and this is basically telling Maya what type of object this is. So for example, if this was a character which is all one piece, let's say it was a kind of like a muscly man, for example, and you could see it's all one piece, then you would put this onto like something like a watertight mesh or a perfect mesh, and that's basically it will use a different method to find out where the bones would be. Okay, so in this case, because these are all separate pieces, what we're going to do is use the polygon soup method, and that's because these are all separate parts and it's a robot. So we're going to say polygon soup, and if you want more information you can just click on this little question mark and it will sort of explain what method it's going to use in order to kind of figure out where these bones should be. Okay, so it basically voxelizes it, so it splits the object into little tiny squares, and the resolution is set by this, and the higher this resolution is, the slower the auto rig will take place. 256 is more than enough in my opinion. You can play with that if you want to. And then basically what it will do is figure out where those bones should be. So it's going to make some guides for us, and then we can move those guides around, and then we can sort of adjust them to make them perfect. Okay, so what we'll do is just click on create, and it's going to create those guides for us, and it's going to tell us where it thinks the hips should be, the legs, all the different body parts. So we're going to adjust those, and what we're going to do is just adjust one side, and then we can use this mirroring buttons to adjust that to the other side. Okay, so what we'll do is start off over here. Let's just go to the front view so that we're on a nice orthographic view. Be sure that you do this as well, because then it's nice and accurate. And then what we'll do is just move this, just use your move tool, and we'll just move this along to the wrist here. Okay, and let's move this to this is like a sphere here, so let's just move it to the middle of the sphere. Okay, and then what we'll do is move this to around where this round thing is, this cylinder here. Okay, and let's move this down so that it's in the middle of this arm. So it's in the middle of this cylinder here, and I think that's about right. Okay, so let's do this from the top now as well. Let's just do this, have a look from the top, make sure that's right as well. So we just need to adjust this. So you're just going to move these back and forth, so just literally backwards and forwards, because we've already adjusted the other directions. Don't need to adjust this one. This one we need to bring it into the middle. Okay, so we've got the elbow here, hand, and the shoulder. Okay, so that's that side. And if I just show you the mirroring method, if I click on this button here, it's going to copy that to the other side. Okay, so if I deselect everything and just do that, or let's just grab these ones and then press that, then it's going to copy those bones, the equivalent bones on the other side. Okay, so pretty easy to use. So let's do the leg now. We're just going to go ahead and take this hip. We're going to go to the front view, so it's nice and accurate. Whoops, nice and accurate. And we'll zoom in, come down, across, and I'm going to move it to the middle of this. Okay, and then we'll just go to the side view. So I'll just say the right view. Just frame this up. Okay, and then just move this back into the middle of the circle. Okay, and while we're here, let's just move the knee down and make sure it's in the middle, and this should be in the middle as well. Let's just turn on the wireframe on shaded so we can see where the ankle should be. Okay, so I'm going to put it in the middle of that circle. And if I just go to the perspective so we can see this a bit better. Alright, and I'm going to go to the front view. Just do this slowly and one bone at a time, and then you won't get confused with this, because it can get confusing if you try and do everything at the same time. So I've got these 1, 2, 3 bones set up, so I'm just going to select these guys and just click on mirror so that they're the same on the other side. And let's just do the foot now. I'm going to make this push this into the middle, and then go to the right view, and let's maybe put that where that nut is. So it's where it's supposed to bend. Okay, and that's pretty good. So let's move that across. So that's cool. So then we have the clavicles here, the shoulders. Let's zoom on up here. I'm going to leave these where they are. Maybe I can move this down to here and move this down halfway. Okay, and I'm going to leave the rest there. So this one I'll just move across a little bit. Okay, and let's just mirror that. Okay, zoom in. Let's just get rid of the grid there. This bone is the neck, and it should be at the base of the neck, which it is, so that's fine. I'm going to go to the side view here and just make sure we can't see it, so we'll just go to the perspective here. And let's just push it back into the middle of that. Okay. Just make sure these spines are in the middle as well, so I'm just going to have a look at those. They seem to be fine, so that's fine. And then we have the head. So the head is this bone here, and it's important that you put it in the right place, because then it looks kind of weird when it rotates if you don't put it in the right place. So let's put it up a little bit, and let's put it back a little bit. Let's leave it where that nut is there. Okay, and it should already be in the middle of the head anyway, so that's fine. Okay, so we've adjusted all our bones, our guides here, and we've mirrored them across. Make sure you check this, so make sure you select each bone and make sure it's mirrored to the other side and make sure it's the same. So let's just make sure this clavicle is the same. Yep. And once you're happy with that, you can move on to the skeleton and rig creation. So we close this guide section and the adjustment, and we can go to the skeleton and rig generation, and you can see that it asks you what kind of joint system you want, and this is beyond the scope of this lesson, but basically this will allow you to have a mirrored behavior. So if you were to rotate this down, then the other arm would rotate down as well, so it would have the opposite joint orientation. And then this section here is asking you whether you want to create just the skeleton or the rig and the skeleton. So if you wanted to just create the skeleton and do your own rig, you can click on this skeleton, just the skeleton section, and then use the skeleton that it creates. But what we want to do is create the rig as well. We want the human IK rig. So we're just going to click on create and watch it go. So there we go. So now we have our rig. And for anyone who's done any rigging, this is amazing because you don't have to do anything. You don't have to spend ages. It's pretty technical stuff. So, you've got a rig here ready to go and, ready to use with controls, human IK controls, FK IK switching, and quite a lot of advanced features, all ready to roll. Okay. Now you might have noticed that the rig, the skeleton, is not attached to the actual geometry, and that's the next section, which is the skinning section. Okay, in this lesson we used the step-by-step section to create guides, and then we adjusted those guides, mirrored them to the other side, and then clicked on create the rig, and it created a human IK rig for us. Just a quick note that if you wanted to start this process again, or you didn't want this control rig, you could click on this little button and it will delete just the skeleton and the rig, and then you can see the guides again and start that process again. So it's quite flexible in that way. I'm just going to save this as O2. So we've got robot O2. Save as. Okay, this is an important save because we're going to try out skinning and you might want to start again, so make sure you save here. And this is where you've got your clean scene where you haven't attached anything to the geometry, and then you can start from here if you need to come back.